You could lose your next big tender, even if you meet every technical requirement, simply because you don't have the credentials, ISO 56001. It's the new global standard for innovation management systems. The question is, when should your organization make the move to adopt it? Innovation today isn't just about coming up with great ideas. For organizations that want to grow, compete, or secure funding, it's about having a system that reliably turns those ideas into measurable results. Without that structure, innovation can end up scattered, unpredictable, and hard to justify to stakeholders. These new standards bring the same discipline to innovation that ISO 9001 brought to quality, turning it from a series of experiments into a managed measurables capability.
Right now, ISO 56001 isn't a legal or procurement requirement anywhere. But with more than 50 countries involved in its development, and leading standards bodies already promoting it, it's only a matter of time before we start seeing it appear in tenders, funding calls, and supply chain requirements. The ISO 56000 series is the first worldwide framework for managing innovation. ISO 56000 is the common vocabulary. ISO 56002 is the guidance, the playbook. And ISO 56001, released in late 2024, is the requirement standard you can certify against, just like ISO 9001 is for quality. At this point, no country has made ISO 56001 or 56002 a formal requirement in law or procurement. But over 50 countries are actively involved in the ISO technical committee that developed it, and several have spotlighted it at high-level forums like the International Innovation Forum in Peru. We're also seeing national standards bodies in Europe and Asia actively promoting awareness. For example, AFNOR in France has run regional information days on ISO 56001 for businesses, universities, and research centers. And Ireland's NSI has formally published the series as a key resource for innovation management. Even global certification and training providers like DNV, which operates in over 100 countries, are now offering one-day awareness courses in places such as Sweden, Singapore, and Korea to help organizations prepare. Adoption is still voluntary, but the momentum is building, and history shows these standards can go from optional to essential almost overnight. If you supply to the public sector, apply for government grants, or work in regulated industries, ISO 56001 could soon be on your radar. That includes suppliers to ministries, municipalities, and state-owned enterprises, startups and scale-ups chasing public R&D funding, universities and NGOs in government-funded programs, corporate bidders in tenders where innovation capability is scored, and private companies in public-private partnerships like smart cities or mobility projects. So the number one reason to adopt ISO 56001 is staying eligible for opportunities. Imagine your perfect tender or funding call appears. You meet every technical and commercial requirement, but you could be disqualified because you can't show this certification, a risk you can avoid by preparing early. To get ahead of requirements, track announcements from governments and innovation authorities, monitor updates from standards bodies like ISO, CEN, the European Committee for Standardization, SII, the Standards Institution of Israel, and BSI, the British Standards Institution. Also keep an eye on industry associations in your sector that influence supplier criteria, and watch for moves by large anchor customers or corporate partners who might integrate ISO 56001 into their supply chain requirements. Even without a formal requirement, adoption can still be the smart move. You might be scaling innovation beyond ad hoc projects. You might need a consistent, measurable approach across multiple teams or geographies. Maybe innovation is central to your strategy, and you want to stop wasting R&D on projects that don't deliver. Or you could be entering markets where trust and process maturity matter as much as the idea itself. ISO 56001 is still new, but momentum is building fast. Public sector ties, major corporate clients, and regulated markets will likely see it first. The main trigger is eligibility, and you don't want to miss out because you weren't ready. The earlier you prepare, the easier it will be when requirements arrive.
If your organization wants to stay ahead of ISO 56001 requirements or figure out the right timing for adoption, let's talk. And if you find this useful, like, share, comment, and subscribe or follow for more insight on turning innovation into impact.
Thanks for watching and stay innovative.